Man, what a week for off-road enthusiasts. This is the kind of stuff you live for if you're into awesome high-level trucks with capability. So this week, we've had leaked announcements around the new Ram TRX coming back with the supercharged V8. Awesome, the Ram community. But what I'm about to show you, to me, is a whole new chapter of a company getting involved in the off-road game. And this is phenomenal, not just for the Toyota fans, for everybody, because they're going to make everybody raise the bar. Let me show you. Okay, super exciting. There's a leaked photo of the new Toyota Tundra running around in a wide body configuration. And you can tell this one is a moving clip. They've got method wheels here on some BFG, looks like KO2s. They don't look like KO3s from what I could tell, but you can see in this right here, it's got a different front bumper, a high approach clearance. You can kind of see some nice billet, some recovery hooks, obviously the nice Toyota badging with their front end, LED up front. But I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I find really unique in this is not just the wide body, but check this out. Okay, here's a side profile. Things I'm looking at right off the bat. You can clearly tell this has got wide body fenders and hood, front and rear fenders. This is pretty common in the automotive industry when they want to mask stuff up for people to not see, they put the camo on it. In this situation, it's actually drawing more attention to the truck, but I'm okay with it. One thing I can tell you, if they're going to follow the plan, and if this is actually a real thing Toyota is going to bring to the market, these will probably be some sort of fiberglass or composite material because it's really hard to stamp an aluminum or steel with this much contour. I can't even tell you how excited I am about this, guys. I've never owned a Toyota truck, but this might be a reason to consider it just because Toyota's probably not going to make a bad product. And how sick would it be if they put a V8 in this thing? They've got the ability to do so. And I keep thinking back to the history of off-road with Toyota, man, the Hilux and their third member rear axle. So when you look at their rear axle, nobody else in the half-ton truck segment has a third member style rear axle. Traditionally speaking, this is a really strong rear axle, but it's typically more expensive to manufacture because you've got stamped upper and lower axle housings that you weld together, whereas your traditional rear axles are more of a tube welded into a casted differential in the middle. Toyota's been doing this for a while, but you know who else has been doing it, which is a tried and true rear axle, is the Ford 9-inch. This thing has been in the drag racing community, off-road. Curry runs this same design in their off-road trucks today. They run a third member style differential or rear axle design, and Toyota runs the stuff from the factory. Some other things I'm looking for is I'm looking at, obviously we've got our 5-point link that's some sort of billet, probably aluminum. So we obviously know this is a 5-link rear suspension, but I'm kind of looking at the side here. You can see your rear axle mounts for your rear suspension. Obviously it's got a high clearance rear bumper. Do you notice something missing in here? I don't see a spare tire and I don't see an exhaust system. And also the other thing I'm really digging when I look underneath this truck is clean. I'm not seeing skid plates really anywhere. And that is good to see. You can see the lower control arm sneaking through. Looks like some sort of, if I had to guess, they're going to be running aluminum, some sort of cast aluminum, maybe billet aluminum lower control arms, just like the Raptor TRX, Raptor R, Bronco Raptor, all the off-road trucks. Some other things I see here. If we notice when we look inside this fender wells, we can tell that this thing is missing inner fender well liners. Very common when you're trying to get max compression that you'll blow out the fender liners. We've done this on Gen 1 and Gen 2 F-150 Raptors when you push them off-road. I'm not saying that's the case here, but I'm saying these guys is probably some sort of prototype mule build that Toyota's working on, clearly an in-plate truck, and they're wanting max travel. So they're probably developing and cutting and getting into the body panels to try to maximize that. Freaking awesome. Looking at the sides and proportions, it's hard to tell if this is a 35-inch tire or 37. I'm hoping at minimum a 35. If they do a 37, man, I just can't tell you how excited I'm going to be about this. So another rear profile shot. You can tell it's got that little bit of that Cali lean, and I'm looking, you can obviously tell it's wide body. You can see it's a little wider here, What I'm really hoping Toyota does is a full wide track axle front and rear, and not just wheel spacers and retain stock travel. I'm hoping this thing is a longer travel suspension. The fact that they've got this billet aluminum drag link from side to side makes me think the truck is raised up and they are trying to get some maximum articulation. I was also trying to look in these corners of the wheels. I'm not seeing anything unique. I'm hoping there is some sort of active valving, whether it's through Bilstein, Fox, or there's other companies that can do some of this stuff, but it's looking pretty beefy from the side profile. Also, I like this light up top. That thing looks really sharp. I don't see any other signature saying something about like a different powertrain or anything like that. You can kind of see a little more peek through of that lower control arm and the shock going through. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, and this is also a really good look. You can kind of see the contour of that front fender. That looks really sharp. It's a sweet looking design. I'm not going to lie. Here we go, a better peek through in that front. So you can see they've got, this looks like some sort of coolant reservoir or something, maybe windshield washer fluid bottle, but they are really trying to get into that area with max articulation. Hey, want to thank our friend TRD John. He's a Ram RHO guy right now as well, but he got these photos, so I definitely want to thank him for that. And then you can obviously see where you can see the vent. And I'm just looking right here. I don't know if you notice this. It almost looks like a rivet, or maybe they've kind of, I wonder if they've sheet metaled a few different panels together. That's interesting. The shape of this kind of going through the fender looks sweet. Another picture of the rear axle. You can kind of see they've got the bed sides kind of tucked in and cut away for high clearance, but you can also see they got some supports in there. And then you got a rear shot here where the good thing about this, what I'm seeing here is when we look at the width of the body versus the wheels, you could see it's pushed out a little further. And it looks like front to rear width, track width looks the same, but man, look at that wide body look, looks so sweet. And then the last photo here, and it's really, really hard to see because when we look at the standard TRD Pro, you can see the spare tire, but it's really hard to see some suspension locations. And if I look right here, if this is a suspension, this is like where your shocks mount, and we compare that over here, it is pushed out. This does look to be a wider, you look at that distance between the inside of the rear wheel and that shock mount, it is pushed out, but it's really hard to tell much, you know, from the rear. Light design looks similar. Third light looks the same. But look at the width from the side of your lights, man, it looks like it's pushed out 4 to 6 inches each side. And obviously, like I mentioned, the exhaust is missing. Just want to go back to the one photo here. Yeah, man, dude, this thing looks sick. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, guys. I'm not a Toyota guy, but this thing looks good. I don't mind the looks of the new Toyota truck. If you could toughen it up with something like this, what I'm going to be real curious is a few things. Are these going to be 35s? They're going to be 37s. BFG KO2s, KO3s. I've had 24 sets of these. 35s are really 33.5s, and 37s are really like 36s. Our Bronco Raptors got the factory 37 BFG KO2s. It's a great tire. For general off-road use, it works okay. If you want to push it hard, no, it's not the ideal tire. But it's good if you're just daily driving it, going through snow, rain, mud, and you want some capability. If Toyota is going to bring this thing out, I hope this thing's got 15 plus inches of suspension travel in the rear, 13 to 14 up front, 500 to 600 horse if they stick with their iForce twin turbo 6-cylinder. Maybe they do a V8, hard to say. You know, pricing, this is a tough market. You can tell everybody's getting into this. We know that General Motors has got their new ZR2 coming out. And I actually want to show you guys something here too. This is over on my YouTube channel. I just wanted to show you guys real quick. When I had my RHO up on the lift, you could kind of see some of the suspension and you can kind of see the undercarriage. Just want to kind of show you some. So here is the lower control arms on the RHO, and you can kind of see the Bilstein dampeners. You can kind of see some of the skid plates. Ram does a really good job in the skid plating, but you can see those lower control arms. Now I'll be curious to see if we see skid plates like this on this new Toyota. I don't want to get in the weeds too much, but I am really excited about this for Toyota. And then this is some more skid plating. Now, Ram and Ford have done a really good job as far as getting their inner fender liners up where you've got good clearance off-road. They've actually, Ram's got a pretty unique way of how they did the transmission and oil pan area protection with this style. It's more like the Ram Power Wagon, where Ford took more of a overall huge pan, like a shovel that looks underneath it. They both work really well, just different ways to go about it. But I want to show you the rear axle on the Ram 1500 because it is no joke on the RHO. They're running a 5-link, just like the Ford Raptor Gen 3. You can see the lower arms. You can see your shock points. Looks very similar to this new Toyota killer. But they're running a Dana 60 rear axle, and this thing's a unit. It's got a great history on it. It's in the Ram 2500. But if we compare this design, it looks like locations are very similar. We're at full droop here, but this is more of a traditional rear axle where you've got your standard axle tubes pressed and welded into a cast differential housing. This is what you typically see from the factory. You don't see a third member style rear axle like on this Toyota. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys the comparison, and you can see the drag link. Ram and Ford kind of go up opposite directions, it really seems, as what this Toyota seems. Regardless, I am absolutely super stoked about this situation. I can't tell you guys, if Toyota is actually going to bring this out, this is good for everybody. It's good for Toyota community. It's good for Ram community. It's good for Ford community. It's good for the GM guys, because I don't think they're going to do a bad job at this. And we want to thank our friend TRD John for getting some of these photos for us. This is exciting. I can't wait to see what is going to happen in 2025, 2026 for off-road trucks. It's going to be awesome. Hey, thanks for watching.